Hey everybody, again, Dolphin here. Hope you have a fantastic day. So today's video, we're gonna see how we can pick up an object, throw that object in Unreal Engine and C++. That basically means we have to work with physics a lot today, but that's a good thing because we can actually understand the behavior of Unreal Engine physics. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, requirement. With a character class here, if you have a character class, that is great, you can actually continue, but if you don't, you can simply create one by what you want on my video. I talk about how you can create a simple character in Unreal Engine and C++. Next requirement is actually have a little bit of knowledge about raycasting in Unreal Engine. We're gonna work for raycasting today, so it's recommended. Next requirement is actually creating an actor. Let's create an actor by right-click, new C++ class, and then actor. Next requirement is actually adding our input. Let's add them by going to the edit, project setting, engine, and then input. Now we're gonna add two actor mapping by clicking on this plus option, and we're gonna call them one pick and one throw. And as name suggested, pick for grabbing and releasing the object, and throw for throwing the object. Let's for pick use E input, and for throw we're gonna use left mouse button. Now we can actually close this panel and be done with our requirement. Now let's actually open our character class and our actor. Now let's go to our actor header file because we'll have to create a static mesh component. To do that, we're gonna create a new property here. And I'm gonna call it edit anywhere. And we're gonna say category name is equal to something like mesh. And that's it. Now we're gonna create our static mesh by saying static mesh components. And we're gonna actually create a pointer here, and we're gonna call it mesh components. By C I mean component here, so keep that in mind. Now we can actually create this component by going to the source file, and here we're gonna go to the constructor and create our mesh by saying mesh mesh C is equal to, and we're gonna choose this type of static mesh component again. And here we're gonna give it a name with a text, so let's just say M for now. And now we're actually done with our actor. We can actually save this by just closing our actor class. And now we can actually call our character. So first let's go to our header file to include some classes here. Let's first include our actor class by saying, for example, actor class, and then say actor.header file. You have to write your own actor name, so keep that in mind. Next includes actually, we're gonna include a component named by physics handler component. Let's add it by saying, physics engine, and they're gonna say slash physics handle component. And this component allows us to grab an object and release that easily, so that's one of the benefits of this. Now let's create this component by rolling down and create a project text section. So we're gonna use actually a property here, and we're gonna say edit anywhere, and we're gonna choose a category name. So let's say category is equal to peak for now. And let's create U physics handle component by saying U physics handle component. I'm gonna create a pointer here and call it physics handle, and that's it. Now we can actually create this component in source file by going to the constructor. We're gonna say physics handle, and we're gonna choose a type of physics handle component again. I'm gonna give it a name. For now, I'm gonna just say, pH. And that's all we have to do. Now we can actually create more variables here. So let's just copy this to property and paste it, and create a boolean variable called by b grabbing. And what B grabbing is represent of? It represents of when we actually grab an object and release it. But simplest way, when we grab an object, it is true, and when we release it, it is false. So that's the explanation behind this variable. Now let's just set up some simple and basic stuff for our raycasting. So first I'm gonna create collision channel by saying massive bytes, I think, and then we're gonna say collision channel type, and then we're gonna give it a name with trace collision for now, and then we're gonna give it a type of ECC_PON. Easy as that. Now we can actually create another variable. And we're gonna call it, make it type of float, and we're gonna call it trace line. Say trace line. And what trace line is represent of? It represent of a time when we're actually gonna say how further our line is supposed to go. So let's just give it a number, default number, like 200 for now, and that's enough. Now we can actually create our functions. By doing that, we're gonna go to the one of our private section, and we're gonna say void peak, and then we're gonna create another function and call it throw. Easy as that. Now we're actually done with our function. Let's call them by going to the source file, and let's go to the setup layer input component, and here we're gonna say input component. I'm gonna point it to bind action, I think, and here we're gonna give it a name. So first we're gonna use peak peak input, and I'm gonna say pressed to represent the time when we actually press this button, input, and I'm gonna say this class refers to this class, and I'm gonna call our function by first call our character name, and then we're gonna just say our function name. Easy as that. Now we can actually copy this function, code, and then paste it, and just change peak to throw, and same thing as here. Now we're actually done with our functions. Let's create them by rolling down here and say void, and then our character class. So let's say our character, let's say our character, and then we're gonna write our function name, and let's just copy and paste this right here and change the name from pick to throw. Easy as that. Now we can actually start from peak. So today we're gonna create some basic stuff for raycasting. First is actually a hit result. I'm gonna call it hit. We don't want to make it pointer, so it's just introduce it like this, and then we're gonna create a f vector variable. So we're gonna say f vector, and we're gonna call it start trace, and we're gonna say get camera component location, I think, get camera, get component location, and that's for start trace. And let's create another f vector variable and call it enttrace, and let's just say get camera, and then point it to the get component location, and here we're gonna say it's make it plus by camera, and we're gonna point the camera to get forward location function, and then we're gonna multiply this by trace line, as I said before. Now that's all we have to do. Now let's create a collision query, query param. So to that we're gonna say f collision query params, and we're gonna just call it query for now. So let's just say query, and here we're gonna point to query here, not point. Let's just say query point add in grow actor, I'm gonna say include this actor when we actually cast a line. Now we can actually cast our line by saying get word, and then we're gonna say line trace by single channel, and then we're gonna put our parameters here. So first parameter is heat result, so let's put heat, then a start trace, and then end trace, and then our collision channel we create before, so let's say trace collision, and then we're gonna put our query here. Now we actually create our raycast. We create our line, and we can actually say here if heat something by using b block heat, and b grabbing was false, then we can do something. Here we're gonna create a local variables here. First local variable is actually referencing to the actor, and then I'm gonna create a pointer here and call it heat actor. And here we're gonna make it equal to heat dot get actor. Simple as that. Now we can actually create more variables. Let's create a boolean variable and call it valid. And we're gonna say valid is equal to is valid and get heat actor here. And I'm gonna say if our actor we hit is valid or not. Now we're gonna create another boolean variable and call it pick object. So let's say pick object, and pick object is the represent of if we actually hit the actor we want to pick. So we're gonna say the actor we're gonna pick is actually heat actor, and then point this to get class, and from get class we're gonna point this to is child of function, and in child of we're gonna reference to a pick actor, and we're gonna actually call our function like this, and that's all we have to do. Now let's just say if valid was true and pick object was true, pick object was true, then we can actually do something here. So we're gonna create a uPrimitive component, and we're gonna create a pointer of it. So let's say heat component, and we're gonna say heat component is equal to heat dot get component. Easy as that. Now we can actually say we're gonna actually create a vector here and call it heat. Let's call it component location, and we're gonna make it equal to heat component, and from heat component we're gonna point it to get location, and we're gonna just here we have a problem. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to do this. Alright, now we can actually copy this. Oh no, I'm sorry, here I have to say get component. I don't know why it said get socket location, so that's all we have to do. Now let's create a frotator variable and call it component component rotation, and I'm gonna say get heat component and point it to get get component rotation. Easy as that. Now we can actually use our physics handle to point it to the grab a component at the location of rotation, and we're gonna first say which component. We're gonna say heat component, and then we're gonna put our parameters here. First parameter was component location, and then another one was component rotation. Easy as that. Now here we have a problem. We actually forgot to give it a name, so let's just say name is none. So that's all we have to do. Now we can actually here say b grabbing will be true. So that's all we have to do. Now here, let's just say else if b grabbing was true. For the time we actually want to release the object, we're gonna say first get the physics handle, and we're gonna say release, how can I say, release components, and that's all we have to do. And let's just here say be grabbing will be false. Easy. Now we're actually done with our pick function. Now let's go to the our tick function here. We're gonna do something. We're gonna say if if we have something in be grabbing, it means if it was true, we're gonna say get physics handle. We're gonna set our physics handle to be set of camera location rotation. We're gonna say set target let's say set target location and rotation, and we're gonna put our variable. For first, we're gonna point it to camera and get component location, and then here we're gonna say plus by camera and point it to get forward vector. No shit, let's just fix this. And here we're gonna times it by trace line, and that's all we have to do. Now let's just add our camera collision, and we're actually done. I mean camera rotation, sorry. So we're gonna say get component rotation. Easy as that. Now we're actually done. Let's go for throwing function. To do that, we're gonna go to our header file, and here we're gonna create a primitive component. To do that, we're gonna just copy this your property, and I'm gonna say your primitive component, and we're gonna call it hit components, and we're gonna put a P in the end of it to represent of a public your primitive component. Now let's go to our source file, and here in our pick function we're gonna say hit component P is equal to this hit component. So that's how we can actually throw our object by doing this. We actually not throwing object here, so we're gonna actually throw our object here. So let's go here and say if be grabbing be grabbing was true, and then here we're gonna first reference to the physics handle, and here we're gonna point this to release component again. I'm gonna say release component, and then here we're gonna say if we have something in, for example, our hit components P, I mean public, we're gonna actually throw our hit component by saying hit component P. We're gonna point it to add force function, and in our add force we're gonna give it the F vector. So let's just say we're gonna create F vector here. Let's call it forward vector, and the forward vector is actually again a camera get forward vector. So that is all. Now we can actually say get forward vector, and then we're gonna times it by some value like 1000, and times this by first we're gonna get hit component P, and we're gonna actually point it to get mass. So here we actually done a formula here, and that's all we have to do. Now we can actually save this, but no, let's just not saving it. First let's say be grabbing supposed to be a false here, so keep that in mind. Now we can actually save this, go to Unreal Engine and click compile. Alright, my code compiled. Now let's just grab our actor and throw it into the scene. You can simply create a blueprint class, but I just rather to do this, and I'm gonna give it a mesh. So for now let's give it a cube mesh. Let's just enable simulate physics here, so let's tick that, and we actually can play now to see how it actually works. Alright, let's see. If I pick E, and if I press E, you can see I can pick it and release it easily if I press another time. And let's just see if we can throw this object. Yes, we can simply throw this. Let's just copy this object again and paste one here to see if it do not apply for this one. Let's throw this, and you can see I can throw all of these objects. So that's for now today's. Now thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, guys.